Hello, William Clark again. This is number 7 in the series of the Last Stand podcast. Today, it's a very nice day out in Michigan today. My allergies aren't that bad, so I'll try to get through without coughing and sniffling. And I know it's annoying to listen to. What I want to talk about today is my next novel, which is To Hear Thunder. This has gotten probably the most reviews, all 5-star reviews on Amazon. And it was a real labor of love. The story itself has to do with a young man by the name of Penny Pennington. It's not a true story, but it's a conglomerate of the things that were going on in this time period of this novel. The story itself encompasses a vast area of the United States during the 1930s, during the Depression, and from Kansas to Washington State to Oregon to Montana. Montana holds a special place in my heart. I spent a good deal of my youth in Montana, on the vast prairies of Miles City, Montana. Wide open prairie, just a magnificent area. It's the kind of place that when you go there, it kind of puts a hook in you. It puts a hook in your soul. There's nothing like the smell of wet sage after a summer rain on the prairie. When the warm wind kicks up and it carries that scent across the ground. It's it's magical. And I've always wanted to go back there. In fact, I've told my wife that when I finally shed this mortal coil and I die, when I'm cremated, I want her to put my ashes in a coffee can, take me to Miles City out in the middle of the prairie, open the lid, let the wind take me across the ground. That's where I want to go. That's where my heart's at. Whether she does it or not, I don't know. She's never let me down before, and I doubt she would let me down here. Anyway, Montana's a magical place. It's a magical place. Now, what is the inspiration behind To Hear Thunder? To Hear Thunder is a story about, again, triumph, loss, triumph again, against insurmountable odds, all carried on the current of world events around the 30s and 40s. At that time, during the Depression, Penny lived in Kansas with his family, and they are going through horrific hardships due to the Depression. His father was a sharecropper, and he is being evicted off his land by the sheriff in the opening chapters of the book. Penny's father, being a very proud man, which was much to those characters of the men in those days, farmer his whole life, provided for his family, suffered the hardships of crop failure, crop success, crop failure, and then total devastation. He couldn't pay the mortgage on the ranch, on the farm, and the sheriff of the county comes out with an eviction notice, and the senior Mr. Pennington is at his wit's end. He's been pushed to the limit. He's lost his wife. He's lost one of his children. And he's about to lose the farm, what's left of it. Well, a heated argument takes place in the front yard and on the porch with the sheriff and Pennington's father. A shooting happens between both men, the sheriff and Pennington's father, and they are both killed on the spot. Penny's a witness to all of this. He sees it. He watches it happen. This event sets him on a journey for the rest of his life. It starts when the gun smoke is still in the air. He's 15 years old. He's lost everything. Lost both his parents. His home, he can't stay. He's a juvenile. And it's just a matter of time before the county comes and takes custody of him, puts him in orphan foster care. And in those days, in the 30s, foster care was, orphanages were brutal. There wasn't the scope of social services in those days. If you were a young teenager, you could pretty much bet that you were not going to be adopted, that you would spend the rest of your time in state detention of one way or another. Future would be bleak. So, to avoid this, Penny goes on the road, escapes, and he starts riding freight cars to get away from his past or from what's going on currently. And eventually he ends up in Montana. He ends up in a CCC camp, conservation camp, which was very prevalent during the Roosevelt years, putting men back to work, building infrastructure, cutting timber, building roads. He finds himself there in the vastness and the wonder of the Montana skies and territory. The story also has a secondary vein. During the years of 1938, 1940, in that period, war was starting in Europe. Young men, young Germans, were becoming soldiers en masse. There is a young German man, young German boy, really, 18, 19 years old. He joins the German army and then becomes a member of the SS. His story of that journey parallels Penny's. As Penny becomes a young man, joins the United States military, and becomes one of the first paratroopers in the United States Army. Their roads weave together until they come to a final conclusion in North Africa when both meet. I wrote the story because I felt this thing that Penny felt, or vice versa, because he is my character. This feeling of not being in control of what's going on around you, but you have to persevere and keep moving ahead. You have to do it. You can't lay down in a ditch and die. He's got no family. He's got no money. He's on the road. He's in a hostile environment. Depression-era America. And he's 16 years old. You can imagine how you would feel and how vulnerable you would feel not having that family support structure. To Hear Thunder is a book about moving ahead under total adversities. And he survives. And he actually thrives. The book itself took me over 2 years to write. Not because the subject matter was difficult, but I wanted to get it right. Because, people will enjoy stories if they see something in themselves in the characters they're reading. We've all faced loss. We've all faced devastation of some sort in our lives, our jobs, marriages. I had a good marriage. that I lost, my own fault. I was married almost 30 years and then ended in divorce. And then I found my second wife, and I've never been happier. But when I lost my first marriage, my fault. It was as if a very large part of my soul died. And the only way it was reborn and healed is time and finding the second woman who let me heal. I will be forever grateful for that. On my second marriage now, I've been married 20 years. It's been the best 20 years I've ever had. She will get a special medal when she goes to heaven because she has been married for the last 20 years to a writer. My God, I can't imagine being married to a writer. She's a saint. I tell her that all the time, and being the Southern belle that she is, she doesn't say much. She just smiles, that knowing smile. Very modest, and I love her for that. But as far as To Hear Thunder goes, it has gotten rave reviews. It's on Amazon. It's a very good story. And I wanted to say something, too, about my writing and about your writing. There's a tendency now, and there's a standard of language behavior in the world today, in the United States, and you see it with everybody. Profanity. People seem to have to use profanity in all social situations. And you see it a lot in literature, television, movies, programs. I've always viewed, and I'm not being a prude because I've used profanity in my life. I still do it, but not a lot. I try to curb it. It's lazy. And in writing stories, it really doesn't add anything to the story. When I see a lot of profanity in writing or anything, it shows me that the person who is doing the work really hasn't put a whole lot of thought to vocabulary. Something that really needs to be improved. I don't know about you, but it bothers me in a weird kind of way to see a woman using profanity. I know it's a double standard because men do it and women are going to say, well, if you can do it, I can do it. That's fine. But it's apparent that we have lost civility on both sides, male and female. So when you're writing your stories, use other means of communication within dialogue, if you can, than profanity. Excuse me. You really don't need it. And it detracts from the story. It sounds uneducated. It may sound edgy, whatever that means. Hip. Another dumb word. Keep it on a higher level. Classy. You'll find in all my novels, all 14 novels, that I use profanity very, very little. Because I find if I research the story and the characters correctly, and I give them a decorum of behavior, good or bad, profanity is not really there. My point is, you want to write dialogue that's real, but also that has a level of class to it, that when the reader reads it, they get a subconscious feeling of, okay, there's some thought behind this, as opposed to just spewing out profanity. It's lazy. I'm on my soapbox for profanity. But To Hear Thunder covers a wide expanse of the SS and the atrocities during their occupation of France. It's graphic. There are tough parts in the book that are hard to read, but they're all factual. It's a fictionalized story with fictionalized characters traced upon real events. I really, really liked writing To Hear Thunder. I learned so much about the war. I learned so much about the SS. I learned so much about the Depression era times in the United States and how really difficult it was. And I think I captured it in the book To Hear Thunder. Again, this is a shorter video. I don't want to bog you down. This is number 7 in the Last Stand podcast. William Clark. I see the progression of this podcast. I see it moving forward. Old guys, young guys, older gals, younger gals, they're starting to listen. They're starting to think about, maybe I could write this. I could put my story down. That's my main motivation for doing these, is to encourage you to start writing. I don't care how you do it, just start. It's important. It's important. People want to hear your story, but you're never going to get it out there unless you start writing. Again, I want to thank you for all the support. This has been an amazing experience for me. And again, this is number 7. I've got 14 books, so I'm about halfway through. But thank you. Get busy. Get on your computer. Get a notepad. Get a pen. And build a story. Remember, 40,000 words. 10 pages per chapter. Double-sided. You can get artwork for free for your book. KDP will help you publish it. That's me in the back. Got my pipe there. Again, I don't smoke, but, you know, I think all writers wear patches on their elbows and they smoke a pipe. So, yeah, what the heck. By the way, my beautiful wife, Terry, took all the photography for this book jacket. She's very talented. She doesn't think she is, but I know she is. Again, there's that Southern modesty again that I love so much. So, in closing, get your stories down, start putting it to print, start building those 40,000 words, and make a mark. Wonderful seeing you guys, wonderful talking to you on this Friday, August 1st. My gosh, time's going by. So, as I always say, you can't be safe out there. Be sanitary. William Clark out.